Hi guys, and we're back with part two. So now that we've kind of gone over the introduction, what you're supposed to do, get a better understanding of these guiding questions, we're going to practice those skills on this picture. Now, remember, these guiding questions help us find details, okay? So we're not just asking questions, but we're trying to find the answers, right? So that we can find details in whatever we're looking at, okay? So step one. So we're looking closely for details to investigate the image. Now remember, if you see blue, you can click on it. That is going to bring up, ooh, didn't mean to do that. Let's go back, back to the corner. There we go. Oh, smaller. All right, we're going to click on this, and that will bring up where you can type in your thoughts for this picture, okay? So we are going to go back here, and step one, first impressions. Examine the two collages. Record your first impressions on the graphic organizers. Link below. You may use the digital and print, so you can either print it or you can just do it on the computer, okay? This is just like when we were looking at the book, right? I didn't even crack it. I looked at the pictures on the cover to help me get more information, okay? So we can look here at these pictures, right? First impressions. And I can still kind of use some of these questions, right? I can still kind of think about the structure, the ideas, and the perspective. There's not much language on the page, right? We see a few names here, but overall there's not really any words. So here is one. Like I said, we're not going to be, you don't have to look at everything all the time. So here's a great one where if I'm just looking at pictures, I'm not really going to analyze the language too much, okay? So let's look up here, maybe at the structure. Now, how is the text or the pictures organized? This is something that stood out to me. If I look here, I can see on this page, right, I see I would say he's an explorer. I can maybe assume that. I see a flag. That really stands out to me, right? We see two different flags on these two different pages. And on this page, right, we keep seeing that same flag in a lot of these pictures. And we don't see the flag in this picture. So I can assume, right, I know that this is the British flag. I think that's a Swedish flag. Let's look it up right now, right? We can Google it. Maybe not. Let's look. Europe flag. Oh, perfect. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Right here, Denmark. Aha. So that is the Denmark flag. So we can assume, right, that these are people from two different countries. Okay? So do you see how I used my questions about structure right here. How is it organized? I said compare and contrast maybe, right? To help me find details in what I'm looking at. So right away, I can say to myself, maybe these are two different countries, right? Now let's go back here. Let's go to ideas. And I'm going to read the question. What do I already know about this topic? Okay. I know that it was common for different European countries to fund and send out groups of men, typically men, I should say, to explore areas around the world. So I can assume that these are groups of explorers, okay? And we also talked about how up here, we can already kind of look up here too at the poles. So we can assume that these are groups of explorers at the poles. When I look at the pictures, I see that they're in black and white. That indicates to me that these are older pictures, right? These aren't pictures from modern times. These are pictures from earlier in a long time ago. Okay, so I used those questions, right? Like, how is it organized? What do I already know about the topic? I already know that these are probably explorers. And I use that to help me find details and make sense of what I'm looking at, okay? So if I were to look down here at my first impressions, right, I see that there's black and white pictures. I see the two flags. I see that they are groups of men, right? And we only see what appears to be two men up here. If you look close at these pictures, I'm only seeing men. I see that they're in a cold place, right? They're wearing heavy coats, lots of snow. And it looks like, right, they're bringing tents with them, they're digging out holes, so it's not like they're in an area where a bunch of people live. So that's why I assume, too, that they're explorers, okay? So, second glance, using the guiding question handouts, write a text-specific questions about the details in the images you want to know more about. So now that I've got my first glance, actually, let's go to this page and we'll write some of those down, right? Oops. Danish versus British. We're just going to put a comma. Groups of explorers, frozen tundra, we can call that, a long time ago. Okay, so now we can ask some questions. Now they already wrote some for us, okay? What do I notice about each of the explorers' faces? What sorts of men do they appear to be? Why are they exploring this frozen tundra, right? What are they looking for? Doesn't seem to be much there. Why would you be interested in just looking at a bunch of snow? So just ask, 3 or more questions. What questions do you have after looking at this, okay? Oops, okay, wait. So you want to know more about what are 3 key details that have guided your understanding, okay? And I think that's kind of back here, right? The 3 key details we talked about, the time, we noticed the 2 flags, so we know these are 2 different countries. Okay, construct a caption. Okay, so on this first one, right, this picture, this first page, here would be my caption, okay? British explorers make their way across the frozen and desolate, okay? Desolate means like it's kind of like there's not people around, right? And there's not really much life around in general. So there's not really plants or animals. So we can think of desolate too in terms of like the desert, right? There's a lot of just sand, right? Frozen, desolate. But then we're going to say tundra. Tundra means like frozen. There we go. Okay, so then you can go ahead and write your own caption for the second page down there. So do you see how I used the questions from here to help me get a better understanding, okay, of what was going on in the picture? And then I could take that and I could take that information that I was understanding and write a caption. I could analyze it, right? Okay, let's go back to here. So now we're gonna take those skills that we practiced up here, right? Using this to ask questions.